Hi and welcome to today's lesson. Today we are going to talk about how to write an argumentative essay. I am Martin, one of your teachers at Korr, and you are most welcome to this lesson. Let's start. So exactly what is an argumentative essay really? Well, it's a text with a goal to influence the reader, to change their opinion so that it becomes more like your opinion. You're trying to convince people, really persuade them to think and feel like you about the matter. And what it really is that you are basing your opinion on arguments and facts, and using those to convince the reader of your ideas. And you could be in favor of or against the topics. You could think that gene-modified organisms are great because it means a lot of cheap food, or you can feel that gene-modified organisms are bad because we don't know the long-term effects of eating those. So we should try to not eat them. If you get the example there. And we do this by using or relying on old school rhetorics. I call them old school because the ancient Greeks came up with them. And rhetorics, what are they and how to use it? Well, rhetorics had three different types of ways to convince someone. The first one is logos, an argument of reason. Facts and statistics, that's hard to argue about. If you claim that 1 plus 1 is 2, it's really hard to argue with you, and that's because you are now arguing with logos. You are using logics, and you can't argue with them. That's the whole point of being right, serving facts. I say this because it's true, and therefore you cannot argue with me. I am right. Ethos is another one, and you will not be relying very much on this one in your essay because it's kind of personal one's ethos, and it's about the character of the writer or the speaker or the person trying to convince the audience or the readers. If back in the time, if a person was a man of his word, that would affect his speeches or whatever he said, because people were used to relying on this person. He had good morale and never lied. So therefore, why would this person do this now? So ethos is basing things on your character. And then we have pathos, appealing to the reader's emotion. And a classic here is think of the children. And of course we should think of the children, but really, what about them? When saying, for example, think of the children, we're trying to engage in people that when we think of children, we think of small, innocent little people that really need to be protected, and therefore we have now engaged in an emotional response to whatever information is at hand. And if we are arguing that we need to cut the school budget because we need to be saving money so that we can fuel the new sports arena or something, then maybe people will say, well, think about the children. And people think, yeah, what about the children? How are they affected? Can they go on in school maybe? The thing is, you're trying to create an emotional response. Another example of using emotions is to make people feel bad for something. So this needs to change because now we feel bad about it. It's very easy for people to not think about starving children in Africa. There's the children again, but alright. Starvation in the world, or people suffering from, let's say, natural disasters like an earthquake in Japan. Think of those. What are they going through? Maybe you should donate some money after all. That would be pathos. But in this essay, the argumentative essay, of course, logos, the one based on reason and facts and statistics, that are hard to argue, that's the main one you will be using. So let's go on. References. When you are claiming something, you're going to provide a source of where you got this information. That's kind of the basis of using fact-based arguments, that you provide the source we got it from. And you should make sure that the sources are reliable. Of course, they should come from somewhere else than just your textbook. That means you will have to research some information, use the internet, and use magazines and papers, use books and encyclopedias, things like that, to find the information you need to make your argument. And check your source so that you did not use Hent I veckan or something like that haven't been checked for their content's truthful intent. So make sure that you are critical about your sources. Exactly, you should reflect on reliability, but that doesn't mean you should have the reflection in your essay. You should just make the reflection on your sources. And you should use first-hand sources. And a first-hand source is going to the person who ever said it or wrote it first. That means if a journalist have found a new scientific breakthrough, the journalist writes about this scientific breakthrough, and you find this newspaper article and you feel like you would like to share this information because this scientific breakthrough, whatever it is, somehow backs up your idea or whatever it is that you are arguing. So you should not use the journalist in that case. You should track down the original source. You use the first hand instead. Alright? Let's move on and check the guidelines you have to follow to do this task. There should be an introduction. You must have a thesis statement. You should have a body of text. You should end with a conclusion. So, now in more details. Introduction. The introduction is there to catch the reader's attention. It's really important that it is interesting, otherwise the reader would just look at it and discard it and you wouldn't really have convinced anybody. No, would you? So introduce the topic and in an interesting way, as I said, and provide background information. And this background information should be there to help the reader understand what is it really that you are arguing about and why is it important. So therefore you also need to explain important facts. Keep this in the introduction and end the introduction with your thesis statement. The thesis statement is your opinion as a sentence. Or you could say that it's a statement regarding your conclusion to the matter at hand. So you have provided information and explained things about a certain topic. Now, just summarizes your opinion in a statement as a sentence, really. That's your thesis. In the body then, that's everything between the introduction and the conclusion. And this is where you put the majority of your text. And in here you have your arguments. Here is where you argue, and all your arguments should reinforce your topic. Not a topic sentence, sorry, your thesis statement. Without the facts provided here, the people wouldn't know if you're right or wrong in your thesis. So provide the facts here and discuss them in correlation to your thesis. Yes, they should support your thesis statement with evidence. And audio arguments, don't jump back and forth between them. Make sure you have at least 3, or use just 3 sources or arguments, and find information, find facts, connect them, and make sure you don't mix them together. Firstly, write about the first argument and nothing else. Secondly, write about the second argument and nothing else. Thirdly, the third argument and nothing else. And then it's very easy to navigate and understand and follow through your argumentative essay. This should be rounded up in your conclusion later on. The conclusion should repeat your opinion and summarize your main argument. One could say that the structure of your essay is that in the introduction, you're going to tell what you're going to write about. In the body, you are going to write about what you're going to write about, and in the conclusion, you're going to write about what you've already written. So, say what you're going to write it, write about what you've written. That's the structure here. And you can also use a personal reflection, like a trail of thought that leads up to your opinion. I feel this way because this is a connection of the facts that I have made, and it has led to me to believe that this is a good way of handling this thing or whatever topic is at hand. Now, I'm going to give you some writing tips, because it might be hard to start writing from scratch when you really don't know what you want to write about. And this is a technique called speed writing. And why would I do it? Well, it helps you create the outline of your essay, and it fights writer's block, if you ever happen to get that. That's when you're going to write anything but can't come up with anything to write, really. Now, how are you going to do it? You will need a pen, a paper, and a timer. Decide on a stuck word. Stuck works. Speed write for 5 minutes. Now, when you speed write, you start the timer, and you write anything you think of. Just write it down, and when you can't think of anything, you write your stuck word instead. So you can write, if you're writing about fashion, you can write models, surgery, makeup, and then stuck. And suddenly you can top model, runway, TV shows, clothing, and stuck. That's what you will be writing. Just make sure that your pen and hand is kept moving the entire time during these 5 minutes. And when 5 minutes have passed, you just cross out every stuck word. Those are not important. Those helped you kept going. Those just helped you keep going. Just cross those out, and then you cross out irrelevant things while underlining things that were interesting. So if we were writing about fashion, maybe models and clothing and TV shows and runways were points of interest, and when I was crossed out everything that wasn't interesting, maybe I have 3 things left. Then I can restart my speed writing with, let's say, runways or fashion shows as my topic instead. And now I'm beginning to create a content to write about. Writing tip number 2, paragraph structure. Yes, your text need to be well formatted, because it requires proper paragraphing. And as I said, we're going to have an introduction, and then you're going to present your arguments. Each of them will have a paragraph each, and the last paragraph should be your, let's say, your conclusion, that is. But within each paragraph, they should also follow a similar structure. So each new paragraph should begin with a topic sentence, where you present what the paragraph should be about. Then you fill out the rest of the body of the paragraph with the arguments and facts related to the topic sentence only, and just that sentence. That's important. And in the end of the paragraph, you summarize the paragraph body and you relate it to the topic sentence. And then you can begin another paragraph. If you follow this structure, you will have a very nicely written essay in the end. Writing tip 3 is about acknowledging counter-arguments. You should not forget opposition, because they are the people that you are trying to convince in your argumentative essay. And when you acknowledge them, you prove that that you aren't. Well, if you're trying to convince people and you just go on with why they are wrong, they tend to not listen very much to you. So if you instead show them that you have listened to what they think and feel, and that you have taken their arguments into account to come up with your conclusion, they might find it easier to rely on the information you're providing them. And that's why you should do it. It will make you more trustworthy, so don't forget to have the counter-arguments in mind and reply to them if you have enough space in your essay. I know there's a word limit on it. But if you have the time, please acknowledge counter-arguments. Don't seem stubborn. Just show them you have done your research, show them you have weighed the facts, show them that you have been able to make a good conclusion. And that's the end, everybody. Don't forget to revise the guidelines before you hand the essay in. Make sure you have followed the instructions, and don't forget to proofread your text. Misspelled words and typos are usually everywhere. Every printed work has at least one misspelled word. Think about it next time you're reading a novel. You will find that misspelled or typo. You will, because there's always at least one. Now, good luck and have fun. Bye.